Shwmae, croeso nôl. Dyma sesiwn 3, Cymraeg ail iaith, sef y presennol a'r perffaith. Okay, so the present tense and the perfect tense, and we're going to look over these. Felly, amcanion y sesiwn heddi ydy i weld os ydyn ni'n gallu gweud beth yw amser y ferf gwahanol, recognise different tenses, adolygu'r presennol, positive a'r negyddol, to revise the present tense, positive and the negative, I edrych ar y perffaith, to look at the perfect tense in a little bit more detail, ffurfio cwestiynau yn y presennol a'r perffaith, to form questions in both the present and the perfect tenses, and for you to see the similarities in forming those, and then complete and respond, so ymateb I ddarn, okay, respond to a reading question. Felly, bant â ni. So, I ddechrau off heddi, okay, dwi eisiau chi gweithio allan, I want you to try and work out in what tenses are the following phrases written, or the following sentences written. Some of them are short sentences, some of them are quite long, and I want you to tell me, are they written in maybe the present tense, the now? Are they written in the past tense, the gorffennol, the dyfodol, the future tense, the amodol, the conditional tense? Okay, and I'll read the sentences out so you can try and work them. And what I'd like you to do is note down on a piece of paper, okay, what tense you think they're written in. So we've got bwytais I hufen ia, rydyn ni'n hapus, hoffwn I fynd I Awstralia yn y dyfodol, mae fy ffrind yn mynd gwersylla ar y penwythnos, roedd hi'n bwrw glaw ddo, felly arhosais I gartref, dydyn nhw ddim yn astudio Saesneg yn y coleg. Okay, so think about what you will have done already in school. Like, for example, with bwytais I hufen ia, what does the ais I ending mean? What tense is that showing? With the hoffwn ni, what is that saying? So sometimes you have to translate it in order to work out what tense it's written in. Hoffwn I fynd. Okay, mae fy ffrind. Work out what person that's talking as well. Try and challenge yourself. Not all of these are written in the first person. Okay, so as a bit of an extension, you can note down what tense they're in and what person they're written in. Okay, but then right, I munud I chi, okay, 1 minute, cyn bod ni'n mynd trwy'r atebion. Okay, right, now, dwi wedi lliwio'r brawddegau. I've coloured the sentences according to what tense they're written in. So let's see if we can work together to figure out what they are. So y glas, the blue, are the gorffennol, the past tense, okay? Bwytais I hufen ia. Now the icy ending should straight away tell you I ate. I ate ice cream, okay? And the other blue one then, roedd hi'n bwrw glaw. Well, you've got the imperfect there. It was, but you will have learned that when you've learned past tense. It was raining yesterday, felly, therefore, arhosais I stayed at home. Okay? Then you've got the gwyrdd. Now, yn y gwyrdd, we've got rydyn ni'n hapus, mae fy ffrind yn mynd gwersylla ar y penwythnos, dydyn nhw ddim yn astudio Saesneg yn y coleg. Now, y gwyrdd yw'r presennol, the present tense, is happening now. Okay, rydyn ni'n hapus. We are happy. So even though it doesn't say dwi'n, it's still in the present tense, it's just the first person plural, okay? We, rydyn ni'n hapus. You could change that to dwi'n hapus and it would still be in the present tense. Yr ail un wedyn, mae fy ffrind yn mynd gwersylla ar y penwythnos. My friend is going camping on the weekend. So once again, still present tense, is happening now. And the last one, dydyn nhw ddim. It's present tense, but negative, sorry. So dydyn nhw ddim yn astudio Saesneg yn y coleg. They are not studying English in college. So once again, is third person plural, they, okay? They are not studying English in college. It would be exactly the same if you said, dwi ddim yn astudio Saesneg yn y coleg. And then we've got un arall, sef y melyn. Hoffwn ni fynd I Australia yn y dyfodol. Hoffwn ni, you'll be familiar with that one. I would like to go, okay? Now we call that the conditional tense. I would like to go, but there's a condition it may not happen, which is where the conditional comes from, okay? Hoffwn ni fynd, I would like to go to Australia, yn y dyfodol, in the future. Okay, so we're going to focus on the present tense today and the perfect tense, which we will see the similarities and differences between now. Okay, so, yn gyntaf te, y presennol. We use the present tense to discuss things that we are doing now. We use the present tense regularly. It'll be something you do most times that you write and speak in Welsh, when given information and opinions. Enghraifft, I am going swimming, or I go swimming. Dwi'n nofio, dwi'n hoffi nofio, dwi'n dwlu ar nofio. I walk to school. Dwi'n cerdded i'r ysgol. You may be familiar with things like fel arfer. Usually, dwi'n cerdded i'r ysgol. So, usually I walk to school. They study maths. Maen nhw'n astudio mathemateg. Okay, so in the grid on the right-hand side, you've got the present tense in its entirety in the positive and the negative. Okay, so the positive is ar y chwith, negative ar dde. So, we've got rydw i'n, rwyt ti'n, mae ein, mae hi'n, mae Jack yn, obviously you can replace that for any name, rydyn ni'n, rydych chi'n, mae nhw'n. Okay, and then the negative, dydw I ddim yn, dwyt ti ddim yn, dydy e ddim yn, dydy hi ddim yn, dydy Jack ddim yn, dydyn ni ddim yn, dydych chi ddim yn, and dydyn nhw ddim yn. What I want you to do, please, is I want you to practice saying these after me, so you can practice the pronunciation. Okay, now you may look at the first ones and think, I'm not familiar with using rydw and dydw I ddim. You may also know them as dwi'n and dwi ddim yn. That's absolutely fine. Okay, dim problem. Right, practice saying these after me then. And don't forget, you can pause this video to practice again if you want after I've said them. Okay, so, banta ni. Rydw i'n, rwyt ti'n, mae ein, mae hi'n, mae Jack yn, rydyn ni'n, rydych chi'n, mae nhw'n. Okay, and the negative. Dydw I ddim yn, dwyt ti ddim yn, dydy e ddim yn, dydy hi ddim yn, dydy Jack ddim yn, dydyn ni ddim yn, dydych chi ddim yn, a dydyn nhw ddim yn. So when you're forming a sentence in the present tense, you need to figure out, first of all, who you want to be doing the action. So if it's we are happy or we are playing football, you need to look at the row which says we, yeah? And we, in Welsh, you can see the one word we've got in common there is ni, okay? If you want to say they, we say nhw, either maen nhw or dydyn nhw ddim yn, okay? You may have noticed as well that all of the positives end in apostrophe N, apart from Jack, and all of the negatives end in un. Now, what the apostrophe N means is the word un. They both have un, but because the I there, and the I, and the A, and the I, and W, because they are all vowels in Welsh, we put the apostrophe and make it an N instead of writing the word un. Okay, so what we are actually saying is rydw I yn, but we put it together to mean rydw i'n, rwyt ti'n. And that is why we don't have an apostrophe N in the negative. So never write dydw i'n ddim yn or dwi'n ddim yn, dwyt ti'n, because the yn at the end is exactly the same as that apostrophe N. Okay, da iawn. And symud ymlaen. Moving forward, okay, let's have a look here. We've got Newidwch y positif i'r negyddol. So what we're going to work on now is changing sentences from the positive to the negative. So all we've got to do is go across the same row. Okay? So, enghraifft, rydw i'n hapus. Well, figure out what that means. I am happy. Rydw i'n, which means I am. Okay? I am happy. So how do we change that to say, I am not happy? So we're going to look at rydw i'n. We're going to go across. So we've got dydw i ddim yn. And then all we do is put the word hapus at the end. So the only parts of the sentences you need to change are the present tense. So you've got rydw i'n that you'll need to change. Rydyn ni'n, which you'll need to change. Mae nhw'n, mae Jack yn. Rydw i'n in a meddwl bod context. And mae John yn in meddwl bod. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you 3 minutes I newid to change these from being positive yn colofn un i'r negyddol, okay, sef yr ail golofn. Okay, so 3 minutes yn dechrau nawr. If you finish and you're confident, what I'd like you to do is try and translate them then back to Saesneg. Okay, so you're not originally translating, you're just changing them to the negative. Some of you may translate in your head as you're going along, but if you do finish, then as an extension, you can translate. Okay, banta chi. Off you go. Everything around the present tense can stay the same. Any words that have already been written can stay the same no matter on who is doing that action. Okay? Okay, 1 minute. Okay, right. So, ewn ni trwy'r atebion te. So, rhif 1, rydw i'n hapus, becomes dydw i ddim yn hapus. Rhif 2, a bod yn onest, rydyn ni'n mwynhau a studio bioleg. So what we do is we go to rydyn ni'n, go across, and we change it to a bod yn onest, dydyn ni ddim yn mwynhau a studio bioleg. Mae nhw'n mynd I ysgol maes steg. Once again, go to mae nhw'n, go across, dydyn nhw ddim yn mynd I ysgol maes steg. Mae Jack yn chwarae rygbi bob wythnos. Dydy Jack ddim yn chwarae rygbi bob wythnos. And that's one we need to be careful of because we can never have mae yn y negyddol, okay? No mae's in the negative at all. So you can't say mae Jack ddim, it's got to be dydy Jack ddim, okay? Rydw i'n meddwl bod, I think that Caerdydd and Bert would go to dydw I ddim yn meddwl bod Caerdydd and Bert. And the last one, yr un olaf, mae John yn meddwl bod problemau yn yr ardal. Same thing again, dydy John ddim yn meddwl bod problemau yn yr ardal. Ac yn Saesneg te, dydw I ddim yn hapus, I am not happy. A bod yn onest, dydyn ni ddim yn mwynhau astudio bioleg. To be honest, we don't enjoy studying biology. Dydyn nhw ddim yn mynd I ysgol maes steg. They don't go to maes steg school. Dydy Jack ddim yn chwarae rygbi bob wythnos. Jack doesn't play rugby every week. Dwi ddim yn meddwl bod Caerdydd yn bert. I don't think that Cardiff is pretty. And dydy John ddim yn meddwl bod problemau yn yr ardal. John does not think that there are problems in the area. Okay, so you can do a bit of self-assessment there and check your answers against the answers I've just given you. Okay, so that's the positive and the negative present tense, the now. We're now going to look at the perffaith, the perfect tense, which does include elements of this presennol. Okay, so on the screen now, you've got the presennol, the present on the left, which is exactly the same grid as we've just been using. And on the right, you've got the perffaith. Okay, I want you to see, do you notice any similarities? Are there any differences? Pethau tebyg, pethau gwahanol. Okay, I'm going to give you hanner munud, 30 eiliad, to try and tell me beth sy'n debyg, what's similar, a beth sy'n wahanol rhwng y presennol a'r perffaith. Okay, off we go. Have a look through them, see if you can notice any similarities and any differences. Okay, so first difference you may have spotted is the perfect tense has got this word on the end of each one, which is wedi. Now, in Welsh, we use wedi for has or have. Okay, you may also have noticed that it's actually the present tense we use within the perfect tense. So instead of rydwin, we get rid of the apostrophe n. We've still got the rydwi part, but we've just added this word wedi. Okay, so we've got rid of all of the apostrophe ends and we've added wedi in the positive. In the negative, we've got rid of and added wedi. Okay, so all we're doing is, instead of saying I am, we say I have. Instead of saying you are, we say you have. Instead of saying he is, he has. So this word wedi just changes the context from meaning are or is or am to has or have. Okay, which can completely change the meaning of a sentence. So what I want us to do is I want us to practice saying these just so we get the pronunciation spot on. Like I said, you can pause the video again after if you want to practice. We're going to say them and then we're going to practice using them. Okay, so after me, please. Rydw I wedi, rwyt ti wedi, mae e wedi, mae hi wedi, mae Jack wedi, rydyn ni wedi, rydych chi wedi, and mae nhw wedi. Okay, same thing again now ar y negyddol. Dydw I ddim wedi, dwyt ti ddim wedi, dydy e ddim wedi, dydy hi ddim wedi, dydy Jack ddim wedi, dydyn ni ddim wedi, dydych chi ddim wedi, and dydyn nhw ddim wedi. Okay, so if you're confident with your present tense, this should be easy for you to learn because all you've got to do is get rid of the final word or the final apostrophe n and add in wedi. Okay, so for example, rydw I wedi bod I Australia. I have been to Australia. Mae e wedi gorffen y gwaith cartref. He has finished the homework. So very often you put a verb after these, okay? Mae Jack wedi chwarae pêl-droed. Jack has played football. Okay, mae nhw wedi astudio bioleg. They have studied biology. Yeah, so you can obviously go back and forth on this screen and you can pause the video and rewind it to double check. Or you can write them down, it's up to you. But what I want us to do now is I want us to translate, cyfieithwch, y 5 brawddeg sydd ar y sgrin. Felly, dydw I ddim wedi gweld, so go back, dydw I ddim wedi gweld. So work out what dydw I ddim wedi is, I have not. Gweld is the verb to see. So I have not seen what, okay? Mae Tom wedi rhedeg marathon. Rydw I wedi dysgu sgiliau newydd. Rydw I wedi bod. Now, bod in this context means been. So I have been i'r gêm. A mae nhw wedi gweithio yn y siop am fis. Okay, think about if you know what the word mis means. That's just the soft mutation after am, so it becomes vis, but the word mis, M-I-S, is one you will be familiar with. I've just written here as well, don't forget that you're completely fine to use dwi or dwi ddim, as it means the same as rydw i'n and dydw i ddim. Okay, so the first one, dydw i ddim wedi gweld y ffilm newydd. Mae Tom wedi rhedeg marathon. Rydw i wedi dysgu sgiliau newydd. Rydw i wedi bod i'r gêm. Mae nhw wedi gweithio yn y siop am fis. I'm going to give you 2 funud here I gyfieithu, okay, to translate using that grid what they mean into Saesneg, os gwelwch yn dda. Bant a chi, off you go. And don't forget as well, you can see by the variety of the sentences on the board, these tenses can be used when discussing several different topics, okay? They don't just apply to the topic of hobbies or the topic of school. You can use them with the topic of free time, the topic of keeping fit, the topic of employment, anything, okay? It's important that we know our tenses and we know them well to be able to apply them in different contexts. Okay, hanner munud. Okay, felly atebion te. Dydw I ddim wedi gweld y ffilm newydd. I have not. So the dydw I ddim wedi, I have not seen the new film, y ffilm newydd. Cofiwch, yn Gymraeg, we say the noun first and the adjective follows the noun. So that's why we say film newydd and not newydd film. Okay, so noun first, adjective follows the noun. Mae Tom wedi rhedeg marathon. Tom has run a marathon. Rydw I wedi dysgu sgiliau newydd. I have, dysgu is to learn, so in this context we would say I have learnt sgiliau newydd, new skills. Rydw I wedi bod i'r gêm. I have been to the game. And mae nhw wedi gweithio yn y siop am fis. They have, gweithio is to work, so they have worked in the shop for a month. Okay, once again, remember what the difference is between I and ir. So I is to, but ir is to the. Think about the little prepositions that cause these these mutations, like am. Think about the preposition un, meaning in. Okay, un, in, the. Okay, so you can do a bit of self-assessment there. And what you could do is you could pause this video now, rewind to that screen and try and make some of your own sentences up and practice using them on different topics that you've been studying or that you want to revise. Okay, felly, yn symud ymlaen, looking at question nice. We're still using the present tense and the perfect tense, but we're moving on to questions. Now, you'll be used to asking questions, answering questions, seeing questions on a regular basis yn Gymraeg. Okay, so we've got the present tense and the perfect tense. Okay, now, straight away, you will see that even if you create a question in the present tense or the perfect tense, that the yes and the no, so the answers are the same. So even if your question is wyt ti'n, you would say ydw for yes or nac ydw for no. If your question is in the perfect, the wedi, the has, have you, wyt ti wedi, have you, your answer would still be ydw or nac ydw. Okay, so it might be a good one for you to practice creating questions with these because you already know that the answer is going to be the same as your wyt ti'n questions. So if your question starts with wyt ti wedi, you say ydw for yes, nac ydw for no. If your question is ydy e or ydy hi wedi, then you say ydy or nac ydy. Okay. If your question is ydy John wedi, once again, same answer, same responses, ydy or nac ydy. And if your question is ydyn nhw wedi, then you say ydyn or nac ydyn. Now let's go through what these mean so you understand the difference. Okay. Wyt ti'n, which is one you'll be very familiar with. You may have heard wyt ti'n cytuno, wyt ti'n hapus, wyt ti'n hoffi. So wyt ti'n means do you or are you. Okay. Wyt ti wedi, slight difference. Remember what we said wedi means have. So this means have you. Okay, like have you been to the game? Have you done your homework? Okay. Ydy ein. Okay. Is he. And then ydy wedi, has he. Okay. So changing the tense slightly. Ydy John, is John. Ydy John yn hapus, is John happy. Whereas ydy John wedi, has John. Okay, so instead of is, we're saying has or have. And then this one, ydyn nhw'n, okay, are they, turns to ydyn nhw wedi, have they. Okay, so the questions are there and the responses are there. Like I said, quite easy for you to remember the responses because the yeses and the nos are the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some questions. So I'm going to give you a few examples now. I'm going to tell you them yn Gymraeg ac yn Saesneg. And then I would like you to create 5 question using in the perfect tense using this grid. Okay, so the first question I'm going to give you is wyt ti wedi gwneud gwaith cartref? What do you think that question means? Wyt ti wedi gwneud dy waith cartref? So wyt ti wedi is have you. What's gwneud? You wouldn't say have you do, you would say have you done? Have you done your gwaith cartref homework? Okay, so have you done your homework? So that would be one example of a question. Have you done your work? Have you done your biology homework? Have you done your English homework? Okay. Ydy e wedi? Has he? Ydy e wedi bod I Sbaen? Has he been to Spain? Ydy e wedi cael gwaith cartref? Has he had homework? Ydy e wedi defnyddio'r app? Has he used the app? Ydy e wedi chwarae ar yr Xbox? Has he played on the Xbox? So when we're using wedi, you may have noticed we use the verbs, the doing words, in the past tense. Rather than play, we use played, done, had. Okay? Ydy John wedi? Has John ydy John wedi mynd i'r shop? Has John been to the shop? Has John gone to the shop? Okay? And ydyn nhw wedi, have they, ydyn nhw wedi siopa yn JD's? Eto, have they shopped in JD's yet? Okay, so beth dwi eisiau chi wneud, please, nawr, mae 2 funud gyda chi I creu 5 brawddeg. Okay, 5 sentences in the perfect. As an extension, you could practice answering them as well. Okay, felly, off you go. Bant â chi. 1 munud. Hanner munud. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video and take your time and go back and look at the other slides as well. Right te, da iawn ardderchog fyna. So y peth olaf, the last thing dyn ni'n mynd i edrych ar heddi, ydy tasg ddarllen. So we're going to look at using the present tense, the perfect tense and other tenses in context. So in an exam style question where you've been given a piece of text and you have to fill in a grid or you have to answer questions based on that text. Okay, so I'm going to read the text to you first. What you can do, you don't have to, but what you can do as I'm reading it is try and note down the different tenses. So you could be writing down, dwi'n byw, dwi wedi byw, dwi'n gweithio, hoffwn ni gael, dwi ddim wedi, and see if you can work out what those tenses are in, okay? Because to show a deeper understanding, you can work out those tenses and then you should be able to use those together in your own work, okay? So it says, Shwmai, Ianto ydw i, dwi'n byw yng Nghaerfyrddin. Dwi wedi byw yma ers 2010, achos des I yma am brifysgol. Ar hyn o bryd, dwi'n gweithio fel posmon, ond yn y dyfodol, hoffwn I gael swydd fel athro, ond dwi ddim wedi cael digon o brofiad eto. Okay, so it's not an easy text. There's lots of different tenses in there, and I've deliberately put quite a lot of perfect sentences in there for us to practice. Okay, but what we actually need to do is look at the questions to be able to answer this question effectively. So question 1 says, ble mae ein byw? So practicing our questions now as well. Ble, where does he live? Ble mae ein byw? Okay, now obviously if byw's in the question, we're going to try and find byw in the text. Where does he live? Now ble means we're looking for a place, not a year. Okay, second one, ers pryd mae e wedi? We've done that today. So since when has he lived there? Beth ydy ei swydd? We know that beth means what. So what is his job? Is his swydd? Okay, so it doesn't say the word swydd. It does say the word swydd in the text there, actually. I would like to have a job, but that's not his current job. So think about other words that you know that link with the word job, like I work, for example. Okay, so I work as would be the answer there. Okay, what is his job? Beth hoffai e wneud? What would he like to do? So this is where you've got to use your skilliau, because you don't want to just see swydd there, look for swydd in the text and write athro. What would he like to do? And the last one is going to be one for you to answer independently. Wyt ti'n debyg I Ianto a pam? Are you similar to Ianto and why? So the first 4 are based directly on the text, and then the last one is your own personal response to that. Are you similar? Okay. So ble mae ein byw? Where does he live? So let's have a look what he says. Dwi'n byw yng Nghaerfyrddin. I live in Carmarthen. So how would we say he lives in Carmarthen? We would change that to mae ein byw yng Nghaerfyrddin. Okay. Ers pryd mae e wedi byw yna? How long has he lived there for? So look at the question. We're going to get rid of the question part 2 and we're going to start with mae. Mae e wedi byw. He has lived yng Nghaerfyrddin in Carmarthen ers, since 2010. So 2010 is the answer. Beth ydy ei swydd? What is his job? Well, he says, ar hyn o bryd, currently, dwi'n gweithio fel postmon. So his job is a postman, yeah? So postman. Mae e'n gweithio fel postman. Bydd hoffai e wneud. So you should be able to recognise here, hoffwn i is in the text, I would like. What would he like to do? Okay, so hoffai e gweithio fel athro, hoffai e gael swydd fel athro. He would like to have a job as a teacher. And the last one, wyt ti'n debyg I Ianto a pam? Are you similar to Ianto? So you need to answer that by saying, dwi'n debyg I Ianto achos, or dwi ddim yn debyg I Ianto achos. So you'd have to find one thing you have in common, or one thing you have different. So for example, mae Ianto yn byw yn Caerfyrddin. If you live in Caerfyrddin hefyd, and you could say, dwi'n debyg I Ianto achos dwi'n byw yng Nghaerfyrddin hefyd. I also live in Carmarthen. Dwi ddim yn debyg, I'm not similar to Ianto, achos dwi'n byw yn Nghaerdydd, or dwi'n byw yn Abertawe, or dwi'n byw yn Rhyl. Okay? So you can put as much detail into that as you possibly can. But basically what I wanted to show you was we need to use the questions. So these tenses are going to come up in reading texts, they're going to come up in your written work, that you can use them in your speaking work, and you need to be able to recognise them in question form and in reading texts. Okay, felly dyma ni am y sesiwn heddi. There we are for the session today. Dwi'n gobeithio bod y sesiwn wedi bod o werth I chi. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And don't forget you can pause, stop, rewind the video as many times as you want to go back over it. So diolch yn fawr iawn. A hwyl fawr am nawr, a gwelwch chi gyd yn sesiwn 4. Hwyl fawr!